Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and I'm joined, as always, by the man who has seen Men of San Francisco 3 times and watches it with his doll of Les McCune. Les McCune? Les McCune. It's Greg. How are you today, buddy?
I'm on the mend. I was a bit under the weather yesterday, as I'd said, bit of a tummy problem. But I suppose I'm farting with confidence again today, which is something that I wasn't doing yesterday, I can tell you.
And yeah, well, I'm glad to hear you're on the mend. That's terrible that you had a little bit of gastric flu. So I'm glad to hear you're on the mend.
I mean, that was a self-diagnosis.
Okay.
Because I had a headache as well, and I was completely exhausted. And I'm now thinking maybe it's either been a bit of a 24-hour bug, or maybe I've just eaten something that has disagreed with me, or maybe I've had a wee bit of food poisoning, who knows. But the important thing is I'm feeling much better today, going into the weekend as we record this on a Friday.
I'm glad to hear it. Now, listeners, I know you'll be wondering, because obviously the World Cup still be going on as we record this. We're recording this on the Friday. Scotland, I think we're still mathematically in it, but we won't be. I as soon as the third goal went into Brazil, I said, that's us, we're out. And I was told, no, there's still a chance. No, we're out. It's the easiest way to go about it.
Who told you that? Your girlfriend?
My girlfriend. But then also online, everything you're reading, no, there's still a 50%, even the TV, there's still a 50% chance we could still. Now, we're out. There's still a 5% chance, not going to happen. I don't want us to qualify now. I want us to go out.
Do you?
I want us to just go home with a whimper. Yeah, we don't deserve it. So I'm happy.
He's something like Archie Macpherson. He was like
maybe a wee bit, yeah.
Tom English.
But that's my viewpoint. Yeah. Don't deserve it. So I wouldn't want us to go through now. I'd take it. I'd still watch it. I'd still support us. But no, I think it's done. We've embarrassed ourselves again. Well, the Tartan Army didn't, but the team did.
But, we did have 2 of the best teams in the world in our group, in fairness. And I know we didn't play with a lot of flair or whatever, but it's not like the group that England have got. You know what I mean?
No.
So the thing that I've enjoyed about this, well, I think it's something that I enjoy about every World Cup. Sometimes the Euros, but I think the World Cup is more effective. Is that it sort of galvanises everybody for at least for the first couple of weeks. I think people kind of drop away once teams start being eliminated and you start moving into in the group stages, and then you start to move into I was going to say the last 16, but the last 32, and it's just really the kind of real sort of football fans or people whose teams are still in it that hang in there. But the thing that always makes me laugh is people who, and I've seen a lot of it here because, Scotland have been in it and it's Scotland's first World Cup for a long time. And I've heard a lot of people talking about the games who I've never heard mention football ever before, and they all become a bit expert, or they repeat something that they've seen a commentator say. I heard somebody say we just couldn't keep our shape against Morocco. We just couldn't keep our shape, and sometimes sometimes I know that I was moaning about Chris Boyd the other week, but sometimes commentators do it as well. They'll say things like, well, in the game of football you have to score goals. You're like, what you don't fucking say. That sort of stuff, and I heard somebody say that I heard somebody who I know has never watched a game of football in their life talking about the Haiti game, saying, well, the Haitians just didn't have any composure in front of the goal. Which is true, but coming from this person's lips, who have this person who who's in a brand new strip, gone to the pub at 2 a.m. to watch the game, or 5 a.m. or whatever, and what an atmosphere, and you've got to come down, and then I was invited to the next 2. We've booked a table, you got to come. I'm like, I'm physically not capable of being awake at 2 o'clock in the morning. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Nothing unless I'm on I'm travelling or something like that and I get no choice. But if I'm in my own house with my own bed and my own things around me, there's fucking nothing that's keeping me up until 2 o'clock in the morning. Nothing at all, unfortunately.
I have to admit, shuffling off to bed at like 5:30 a.m. after watching the Scotland-Haiti game, it was like, it wasn't worth it. The other two were okay because they ended by like 2 a.m. It was like, okay, it's fine, go to bed. So it was all okay. But yeah, I agree with you. I like the togetherness. I've enjoyed that. I like seeing that. I've loved seeing all the clips of all the Tartan Army and stuff. And it's nice. And there are, it's nice watching that amount of football as well. And it's nice to see, for example, the Scotland-Brazil game. It was a very good game, to be fair. What I liked was, until the last 20 minutes or so, there was no, like, the referee just let the game flow. Like, there was players, like, diving in on tackles. But you see, and this, I include the Brazilians in this, when, like, a player went down or something, there was no rolling around. There was no theatrics. There was just get up, and I noticed it again last night. I watched Curaçao Ivory Coast. Like, there was a bit where a player, like, genuinely, like, stumbled and fell into another player. And that player could have had a goal-scoring opportunity. It was a genuine fall and stumble, tripped over his feet. And the guy didn't, like, get up and be like, oh, what's going on? He held the other guy up. And it was like, no worries, man. It's all right. These things happen. It was friendly and nice to see. And I felt Scotland-Brazil was like that for a good 60, 70 minutes even, until Scotland needed and the pressure started. Yeah. But it was nice to watch. It was enjoyable. It was friendly. Yeah. And I like that. But other games haven't been so friendly. No. And, well, we're out now, so World Cup's over. Never mind. See you in 28 years. Right then. Shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland over the last couple of weeks, though, Craig?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, buddy, what have you seen from Scotland or maybe not from Scotland, maybe it's been from somewhere else, in the last couple of years that you have seen?
Last couple of years?
What the fuck am I saying? In the last couple of weeks that you have seen and would like to share with me and our lovely listeners?
Well, the news has been dominated by the Tartan Army on tour in America. Fair charmed the people of Boston when they were in town for the first two games. There was some great footage from the Red Sox game that they all went to. And it has fairly made the heart sore to see just like how well received the Scottish fans have been and how well behaved they've been and what they've gotten away with and stuff. And if I'm being really honest, it's also been quite heartening to see that Boston has prepared for the England fans by relaxing all the temporary rule. By reinforcing all the rules that they had temporarily relaxed, to give the Scotland fans the Bostonian hospitality. Unfortunately for the nice English fans, the ne'er-do-wells that make up quite a lot of your travelling support have ruined it for everybody. But my first story comes from the Tartan Army in Miami, where they were this week, I tell a lie, for their Scotland's tie with Brazil. And the headline reads, Miami influencer learns about the Tartan Army's party culture the hard way. The influencer was left stunned, the byline says. So a fitness influencer who proudly calls himself the world's healthiest degenerate has admitted defeat after attempting to party alongside Scotland's Tartan Army during their World Cup adventure in Miami. Richie Lovelace, better known online as Daddy Wellness. I mean, I think I just kept out. If I was called Richie Lovelace, I don't think I would need a pseudonym. That's a fucking cool.
Daddy Wellness sounds like some sort of sinister fucking Uncle Tom or something.
Some sort of dark web handle, isn't it, for the exchanging of horrible materials? Yeah, Richie Lovelace, better known online as Daddy Wellness, travelled to join the Scotland supporters after hearing stories about their antics in Boston during the first two group stages of the tournament. However, after spending a full evening with the travelling fans, he was left stunned by both their energy levels and their ability to keep on drinking long after he had thrown in the towel. The social media star documented the experience in a 47-minute YouTube video, which follows him from his first encounter with the Tartan Army right through to the painful aftermath the following morning. The evening began outside a Miami bar where the sound of bagpipes immediately caught Richie's attention as he'd never heard them live before. Filming himself for the camera, he showed goosebumps running up his arms as Scottish fans gathered around him, chanting along to the pipes. It wasn't long until he joined hundreds of supporters marching through the city streets toward the Lone Depot Park. What a fucking shit name for a stadium. The Lone Depot Park. You join us here at the Lone Depot Park to watch a Miami Marlins baseball game. Surrounded by kilts, saltire flags, and chants of "No Scotland, no party," Richie quickly found himself swept up in the celebrations. As they walked through Miami, Scotland fans introduced him to some of the country's more unusual traditions, including the famous habit of placing traffic cones on statues. When one supporter explained the story behind Glasgow's Duke of Wellington statue, the story being there's always a traffic cone on its head. We don't know who started it, but it's always there. Richie immediately declared, "Oh, I've got to go to Scotland and see this for myself." By the time the group reached the baseball stadium, he was already amazed by the scale of the Scottish support, as he joked, "There is more Scottish people at the Marlins game than there are Americans." But the real chaos was only just beginning, and Richie couldn't quite believe the scale the Tartan Army partied at, especially with it being a Monday night. As the drinks continued to flow, the atmosphere cranked up another level. Whiskey shots appeared, pints were passed around, and soon 500 Miles was blasting through the speakers as the Tartan Army turned a regular baseball game into what looked more like a Scottish street party. The Scots welcomed Richie into the celebration, even convincing him to drink beer from a hard hat as songs and chants blasted in the stadium. When the influencer became increasingly the worse for wear, the supporters around them appeared completely unfazed. As the night wore on, Richie repeatedly questioned how the Scots were still standing, let alone continuing to sing, dance and drink at the same pace. Eventually, he admitted defeat and left the stadium, and the Scots continued to party into the night. Richie turned to the camera and confessed, "With all due respect, I have to leave the Scottish behind. I can't keep drinking. I can't do it, he shouted before adding, "I love Scotland." Opening the camera the next day after waking up, Richie looked hungover as he reflected on the night before, telling his audience he had never seen energy like this in Miami and how much he couldn't get his head around the Scotland fans showing up to the baseball game and chanting for a team and a sport they didn't even know. Still struggling to recover, he added, "I feel like I have a hole in my brain from all that beer, but I love you guys. I love the Scottish. No Scotland, no party." Although it seems he didn't let his hangover get to him too much, as he decided to join the Scots again and purchased a kilt and a ticket to the Brazil clash, which sadly ended in a 3-0 defeat for the brave Scots. So, have you ever drank beer out of a hard hat?
No, I can't say I have. No. I've never drank beer, never had scrambled eggs out of a shoe. I've never, no. Well, hey, I guess he had enjoyed himself and had a good time, and it gave him an education on, you think you can party with the Scots? You don't. Yeah. Like, it has been amazing to see the reaction, and even from they drank all the beer in Boston, like, but yeah, it's a wonderful occasion, achievement, and it's nice to see that we've involved people partying with us as well and having fun and enjoying, and people have got some great stories that they're going to remember for years and years to come about partying with the Tartan Army.
Somebody was telling me last week that they had seen an interview with a landlord of a bar in Boston, and he was obviously effusing about what great fun and what great customers the Tartan Army have been for his bar. But he said he was talking about he was being interviewed by apparently by like a American news channel, and apparently he was saying, this guy was telling me about it because honestly, I heard this landlord. He was saying that They had drank all the beer the day before. All they had left was Bud Light, and the Scots wouldn't drink that. But he had restocked, and he said, he was saying that he opens at 11 a.m. in the morning, and the Scots were standing at the bar at 10:50. I was like, but they're on their holidays. I guarantee for most of them that first pint served to them at 11 o'clock when the bar opened is probably not their first drink of the day. I said you're just being carried along by pizza, beer, and adrenaline. I think. Yeah. No, it's been great. It's been like all jokes aside, it has been great to see all that. And there's been moments when I've thought, fucking hell, how great would it be to be there? But then my liver twitches a wee bit, and I'm like, if I could just sort of like beam in like in Star Trek for like an hour or two. And just get a bit of the atmosphere and then beam out back home again, I'd be up for that. But I don't think I'm match fit to go on a trip like that with the Tartan Army anymore. I don't know if I ever was, to be quite honest.
No, I mean, it looks like tremendous fun, but there'll be a lot of... the only way to get through that is you just got to keep powering through. And then deal with the consequences when you get home. That's the basic, that's the bottom line. But it looks like a great time, but I know I'd struggle as well, I think, to keep up with a lot of those guys. But hey, they're having a great time. It's been beautiful to see the relations with the international teams, seeing, a beautiful clip of like the Norwegian and the Scottish fans rowing together. The Norwegians teaching us how to row.
Did you see Tony Curran swapping his Scotland strip with a Brazilian fan?
I did see that, got to see the Scots serenading the Argentinian fans with one Diego Maradona. He put the English shout out. It's been really cool to see all these things, and it's lovely. And I think we've done ourselves and done the nation proud in terms of that. Like, I think there's going to be a lot more. There always is kind of, focus on Scotland anyway. But we've really cemented in terms of friendly. And I think it's quite telling that Boston changed the rules for England in terms of, I can imagine they've had 2 weeks of Scots telling them to do that. So there's been part of that involved. And it would have been great. I would have loved it if, that's the one thing, if we had qualified and we got Germany in the next round in Boston and the Tartan Army went back and Boston had been like, hey, everything's open again. That would have been an ultimate kind of fuck you.
Invaded by Scots and Germans. I mean, there really would be no booze left. One of my favourite videos I've seen is one that I think I saw it this morning or last night. Is the three Scottish guys in Miami getting the driverless taxi, and it's just the banter. Oh, look, it's the same guy as last night, And then when they're in the taxi, they're like, "So what time you finish, mate?" It's just so stupid, but you know that if you're one of those three guys, that's a sort of patter you'd be letting fly. It's been great. Yeah. It's been really good, and it's been, as you say, it has been amazing for our international reputation, I think. But anyway, that's my first story for this week. The World Cup is, as you said, is still going on, so it's a World Cup adjacent tale. What's your first story this week?
I've got a World Cup adjacent tale as well, Craig. Probably the last one, because obviously we're still in the World Cup, so there's still loads of news stories. And of course, this is an obvious one that we knew was going to happen, but there we go. From the Scottish Sun last week, Bairn in the USA.
That's a great headline.
Good headline, isn't it? Yeah. Relationship experts reckon there could be a boom in Boston Bairns next year as the Tartan Army have enjoyed World Cup flings with smitten American women. Single ladies in the Massachusetts capital have thanked Steve Clark's team for the influx of thousands of hunks in kilts. I didn't see many hunks and kilts in all the videos I watched, amid predictions that scores of transatlantic tots could be born in 9 months. It emerged that Scotland's fans' tartan threads and lovable accents have got female daters hot under the collar in the host city, and some even want to elope here after the tournament. Biology student Lily Smolin, 19, who was looking for love with pal Malia Snacky, 19, said, "It takes a real man to rock a kilt. I like a man with nice, strong legs and a kilt. Friends Dina Solopov, 21, and Nevea Dion, 21, were left swooning after being gifted 2 Scotland shirts by Tartan Army foot soldiers. Social worker Nevea admitted she was hopeful of being swept off her feet by a handsome Scots lad. She said, "If they want to take me to Scotland, I'll go there. You guys are so much fun. We're Team Scotland." Student Diana said she dreamed of the Tartan Army never having to exit the US, adding, "We've been having the time of our lives with them. We're not letting them leave. They're staying here. The energy is amazing." One Bostonian social media influencer called Maris told how she'd enjoyed a whirlwind romance with a very tall, fully tattooed Scottish man in a kilt.
Fully tattooed? What's that mean?
Fully tattooed.
Head to toe.
Who she met on a night out. She added, "He bought me and my friends drinks all night. We ended up walking around Boston, just me and him until 3 a.m. He was supposed to leave to go to New York with the rest of his friends, but he postponed for me. It was wonderful. I had the best time." Another TikToker called Stace joked, "Has anybody thought about the birth rate in Boston in 9 months' time? And how many of these wee bairns are going to be coming out with ginger hair and a Scottish accent?" One local woman called Mo told how Scotland fans serenaded her with a spontaneous rendition of Pretty Woman as she walked past the Dubliner. I can say, Mo, I guarantee that was probably ironic. She said, "Of course, I started singing and dancing with them. I don't want you guys to leave." Other women were left wondering how many of the Scots visitors in kilts were true Scotsmen. I'm going to reckon probably the majority. Childcare worker, Nicola, you're a childcare worker. You shouldn't be speaking to the newspaper about things like this. She said, "I just want to know what's underneath. I don't think anybody's wearing drawers." Teacher Jen Kessner, 30, visiting from Toronto, Canada, said, "I'm wondering if they're wearing shorts. What's happening underneath?" Boston-based dating coach Anna Morgan says she was not surprised her compatriots were going weak at the knees because the Tartan Army exuded a very different energy to US men. She said, in cities like Boston, women are very focused on careers, education, and personal goals. They tend to evaluate men carefully. It often results in dates that feel like interviews. Scottish men, whatever, come across as fun, loud, masculine, and not overly polished.
Yeah. Shaggers.
They're expressive, social, and comfortable being themselves. This creates the kind of emotional spark and excitement many women are craving. Combined with a cute accent, lively sense of humour, and excitement of meeting someone from another culture, it's easy to see why they're turning heads. But whether it leads to a wave of Scottish-American babies remains to be seen. But there will certainly have been a few memorable love stories out of this World Cup. So, Greg, do you reckon there's going to be a load of babies born in Boston in 9 months' time coming out looking like Derek for Postle Hill?
Postle Park.
Sorry, Postle Park.
I don't think many people from Postle Park will have made the trip to Boston somehow. There is a story about, I don't know if we've covered it on the podcast or if maybe I just read it. There's a story about a guy who I think the 1978 World Cup was in Argentina, right?
Yeah.
So this guy from Edinburgh met an Argentinian lady when he was there, and he came back after Scotland failed to win the World Cup, despite what the song promised us, and a fucking great goal by Archie Gemmill. And then, but they got together. He went back over like a year later, and he ended up bringing her to Edinburgh. And I think it was Edinburgh. And they've been together my whole life and raised a family in Scotland of mixed Scots, Argentinian children and grandchildren. So I would not be surprised if a few of the boys that were there found love with a local lady in Boston.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. There definitely will be. I can guarantee that. And, I wouldn't be surprised if there was maybe a couple of guys that have booked a longer trip thinking we would probably make it into the next round. Yeah, and,
we're hoping.
They might go back to Boston for like a week and just
see their new
get their bobby.
See their new girlfriends. Yeah.
Yeah, they might do. You never know. And I'm sure there will be in the next, coming weeks, there'll be stories about this and stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that. It's always nice to hear something
I do
like
wonder.
That. Some good's come out of this shite.
I do wonder, I know they're all they've all been charmed by the traffic cones and all that sort of stuff. But can you imagine, say I'm a young Scottish guy there and I meet lovely American girl and I bring her back to Scotland for the first time, and she'll have this preconception of, purple heather and rolling glens and traffic cones on top of all the statues and just people having a good time all the time. And then we land in Glasgow airport as the same time as the Alicante flight comes in, or the Benidorm flight. It's November. The clouds are almost touching the top of your head. Just fucking flat on the M8 as you're driving away from Glasgow airport. You should be like, what? This is not what I anticipated when you fuckers came to Boston for the World Cup. Your kilts.
Not a Scotland top in sight or a kilt. It's just Rangers tops, Celtic tops, Adidas poppers, and yeah, and that's it. And as much dog shit on the pavement as the eye can see. Welcome to Glasgow. Yeah. Let's go to the Blue Lagoon and get you a chip supper and up the road.
Or a deep fried Mars bar like you took your girlfriend for when you were
exactly
there.
The cultural icon. Never mind. Well, hopefully we'll see how things progress with World Cup babies, but never mind. Okay, Greg, have you seen anything this week that isn't World Cup adjacent?
I have indeed. We're leaving the World Cup behind. Maybe we might have something to talk about on the next episode. To your point, probably not. But you never know. We always, as that guy McAllister says on his daft Instagram, we do have a love affair with optimism. So let's see.
Yeah.
But my next story comes from the Scottish Sun. And the headline reads, Scales of Justice. Scots drink driver claims he can't serve his sentence without having his pet lizard for emotional support. I tell you,
Jesus.
You can say what you like about the Sun. They might be the linchpin of right-wing agitating press, but they can write a fucking good headline, can't they?
Yeah, they can. They can.
An exotic animal fan caught driving dangerously claimed he can't serve his punishment without his pet lizard. Terry O'Shea, 38, insisted he can only attend compulsory meetings with social workers if accompanied by his bearded dragon, Mishu. Last night, he denied suggestions the critter was being used as an excuse to dodge a community payback order for his motoring offences. O'Shea from Dundee told the Scottish Sun, "We don't go anywhere without each other. It's a bit like having a kid. She keeps me calm and stops me getting agitated. She's my best pal." O'Shea, who says he's registered disabled, cradled his pet in his Audi convertible. He added, I love the snidiness of the O'Shea, who says he's registered disabled. He added, "I wouldn't be able to cope without her. I'm not making it up." It comes after he admitted speeding, overtaking when unsafe, and failing to stop for the cops in March last year. He also pleaded guilty at the City Sheriff Court to driving a van while unfit through drink or drugs 4 months later and failing to provide a blood sample for the police on March the 23rd this year. During the hearing, O'Shea's lawyer, Finlay Crowe, that's a fucking belter of a name, isn't it? Finlay Crowe, produced a card showing that Mishu is indeed an emotional support animal. Sheriff Mark O'Hanlon deferred sentence for psychiatrist reports. We told in 2021 how O'Shea, I wonder if we covered this. We told in 2021 how O'Shea took his cockatoo, Shorty, on shopping trips and for drives. Shorty perched on O'Shea's shoulder whenever he went out and loved slurping a cup of tea and munching on chips. The bird was said to jive to dance music, sit for manicures, pose for pictures with fans and utter thank you and shut your puss. O'Shea said, "People can let you down, but Shorty never has. I prefer spending time with him to anybody else," presumably until he got hold of his bearded dragon. He added, "He's always there for me and I can count on him for unconditional love and support whenever I need it. He's a very therapeutic pet." That's the end of the story. So
I don't know. People do need support animals. I get it. People do get anxious or nervous about things. I get it. Does sound to me like a load of bullshit.
It definitely does, doesn't it? Well, Shay, who claims to be registered disabled, you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, it does. I mean, really, like, he's been driving dangerously and then he's trying to get out of the course saying he needs to have his bearded dragon with him. And why? Why? Why?
She keeps him calm. Nicky, she keeps him calm. She stops him getting agitated. I mean, she obviously doesn't keep him from driving like a fanny and getting off his face. But she keeps him calm.
That's okay then.
Yeah.
I'm glad about that. So. I'm glad about that. Yeah, you know something, I don't think we did cover that story, but I do remember reading about it, I think, about the cockatoo.
Yeah.
I mean, we have had a cock or two on the podcast,
yeah.
But that's I don't know where to go with this, because he's just a menace to society, and he shouldn't be on the roads with his bearded dragon.
Possibly a menace to bearded dragons as well, potentially.
Do you think he's interfering with his bearded dragon, do you?
I didn't mean it like that, but, you know, well, who knows? I just meant, like, perhaps endangering said dragon with silly driving and whatnot. But, I mean, the silver lining to this story is that, as I've been reading it, a link has come up. Now, the temperature in the UK at the moment is incredibly hot, and in Europe, evidently. She mentioned before we started recording that it's a hot day in Amsterdam, where you live. But a link has come up called Hot Girl Summer. From Christine McGuinness to Kelly Brook, the celebrities stripping off to avoid tan lines and soaring temperatures. And there's pictures of some of these ladies just enjoying the sunshine on their balcony with elbows and biceps covering their modesty. Their modesty. Modesty? Did I say it right? Modesty. I think I did. With temperature set to soar to a scorching 38C, or should that be 38 double D, where I made that bit up myself, that wasn't in the sun, but it definitely could have been. We're expected to see more celebrities follow in the footsteps of Christine McGuinness and ditch their bikinis. So there you go. There's always like a silver lining to a shit story about a fanny with a bearded dragon. And the silver lining, that's true. The silver lining is an article about celebrities enjoying the sunshine in the UK. So
lovely stuff.
There you go.
It is, yeah. Lovely.
He's also kissing the bearded dragon on the cheek, and I happen to know for a fact that lizards, like bearded dragons, have salmonella bacteria on their skin. And you're not really supposed to. Like, you're supposed to wash your hands before you have your dinner and stuff after handling them. So
you think you should get in touch with Edwina Curry and find out what's going on? There's a fucking blast from the past there for you listeners.
Eggwina. I mean, he might end up displaying the same symptoms as I displayed yesterday if he's not careful. Anyway, that's old dafty Terry O'Shea and my last story. What's your next story this week?
My next story is a quick one, Greg, and it is from the food and drink section of Glasgow Live. Would you believe it? Now, we'll come back to that part. The headline is, and it's from Glasgow Live last week, there is a new film out, Greg, and one of the stars of the film spent some time in Glasgow. Did you know this? So the late night snack that Masters of the Universe star Alison Brie raves about after time studying in Glasgow. Did you know this?
I didn't know she studied in Glasgow, no.
We're going to come back to this after the article, Greg.
Okay.
I'm going to skip through it because it's basically a big advert for Masters of the Universe. Have you seen that yet, Greg?
No, I'll wait until I can watch it at home, I think. I'm not...
Yeah, I think I'll be the same. So, one of the 80s biggest characters is being brought back to the big screen this summer, with iconic cartoon character He-Man appearing in the film Masters of the Universe. The blockbuster movie stars top A-listers like Jared Leto, Idris Elba, but one of the actors that is in this is Alison Brie, who plays Evil Lynn, a wicked sorceress who is Skeletor's second in command. The actress, who is best known for her roles in the hit series Community, Glow, and Mad Men, has appeared in films like The Lego Movie, The Post, and Promising Young Woman. Born in Hollywood, she has Scottish roots on her father's side, so it is perhaps not overly surprising that she chose the country to spend a semester in whilst honing her craft. Studying at the California Institute of the Arts, she spent time at what was the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama, so RSAMD, which is now known as the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland in Glasgow. Spending time in the city, which Alison said she loved, she stated that the skills she learned working with Scots artists and teachers have been invaluable to her career. She also admitted that her favourite memories are of nights out at the garage and enjoying Scottish football at its noisiest. The actress told the Daily Record, "I loved Glasgow and I loved the RSAMD. They were always bringing in different artists to do workshop with us, so the curriculum was really exciting. It's such an artistic society and they did some great avant-garde theatre while I was there." However, she added, "But my fondest memories are of walking down Sauchiehall Street, going to the garage with my friends, eating chips and cheese when we were drunk at 2 a.m, and the people I met were really wonderful." Speaking about her time in Glasgow, the Brie described it as the freest she had ever been, and even took in a game between the city's two great rivals. She said, "I went to a Celtic and Rangers game. It was fantastic. It was so intense. I'd never been to a football match before, nor have I since. But I went with friends who were Celtic fans, so I had a green and white scarf on." There you go, Alison Brie's a Tim. "I was mostly impressed with all the singing." I bet you were. Some nice little sectarian chants did you learn there, Alison?
Yeah.
At American sports events, it's mostly shouting. They don't have as much rhythm. The way the fans would swing and sway together, it was very powerful. And that's it, Greg. So Alison Brie used to like chips and cheese after she'd been at the garage. Now, I looked this up. Alison Brie would have been there, I reckon, about 2003, 2004. Should have been at the garage.
Glory days.
Glory days. You were bopping about there around about that time.
Yes, and as you've been reading the story, I've been having a wee shufty at Alison Brie's Wikipedia to see what year she was born. So she would have been 20 in 2002. Oh, well, really, right at the end of 2002. So she'd have been 2021. Sorry, 2001. Sorry, fucking hell, 2003 even. So there is every chance, because I was in the garage quite a lot from late 2002 until 2004. There's every chance that I'd have been in there at the same time as her.
Because it says she graduated 2005. So
Right.
I'm reckoning the semester it's probably going to have been her third or second
from
year,
last,
you would think. So I'm reckoning it was 2003 to 2004. She was probably there around about that time. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's every chance that I would have been there at the same time as her, but I feel like I would have noticed her if I had seen her. And the other thing is, like, whenever I was in the garage, it was always towards the end of what was usually quite a busy evening of drinking. And
I mean, would you have
drugging.
noticed her because she wasn't famous at the time, or would you just have noticed her because she would have stood out like a sore fucking thumb in the garage because she's so attractive?
Yeah, the latter, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
But, you know.
I agree with you on that. Chips and cheese, though, was our go-to. She's a woman of taste. I mean, not that much taste. She married Dave Franco, but she's obviously a woman of taste.
It could be worse. She could have married James.
It could be worse, yeah. But yeah, chips and cheese, it's the go-to.
Yeah.
It's the standard. It's the simple. It's combining all the good food groups. It's what you need.
I remember when you and I and our mutual friend, it was the first time you guys came to see me in Glasgow, and we had caught up with my Irish friend Stephen Coulter in, where were we now? Lowdown. Lowdown in the Merchant City, and we stopped on the high street in Glasgow at a takeaway place to get some food. And and I had never ever considered putting these ingredients together before, but they were doing chips and cheese with bacon on top. And I remember just thinking, what an obvious and amazing idea. And Stephen going, because I think it was one, because Stephen had said, I know a good takeaway in the high street, we'll go to this one, it's on the way down the hill anyway. And he was like, yeah, they do chips, cheese and bacon. I'm like, fucking hell, this guy's a genius. Whoever came up with that. Yeah. I mean,
I've seen the future and it involves bacon.
Now, if I was to eat a polystyrene container of chippy chips drowning in cheese and bacon now, I would have heartburn for about a month afterwards. So So I would. I say she was also in a program that I know you enjoyed, that the lady wrestler program on Netflix, right?
Glow. I did. I really enjoyed that show. It was really good. Mark Maron. Yeah. It was a very good show. Kate Nash as well. Yeah.
Kate Nash,
Very
the
good
singer.
show. Yeah.
Wait, really? She was acting in that, was she? What was her song again? She had one song, didn't she?
My fingertips
Yeah,
are holding on
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the cracks in our foundations.
Yeah.
I
I think
like that album.
to borrow an expression from the Rewatchables podcast, I think she was market corrected by Lily Allen, I think.
You know what? Kate Nash was like a couple of years after Lily Allen.
Oh, okay.
So-
Maybe not then.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think she got market corrected by just the music industry changing in general, to be perfectly honest. But there we go. Alison Brie, Time in Glasgow, Chips Cheese, The Garage. Greg might have winched her. We do not.
I would definitely remember if I had winched her. I never went home with anybody after a night in the garage. Honestly, like I had a couple of kisses and cuddles with girls on the dance floor, and I've told the story before about the girl when it was an unusual Friday night, and then she left early, and I was hammered, and then we arranged a date, and when she turned up, I was like, I've made a mistake.
She wasn't what you thought.
She wasn't. No. She wasn't what I remembered, which is not something that I should be proud of, and I shouldn't even be telling. I've got 2 daughters. I should not be telling a story like that about myself. It was a shameful way to behave. But anyway, I sometimes think, I wonder if I ever became famous, if like she would come out the woodwork, or other girls that I'd never called back or just dinghied.
It's best to just not
become
Let's
famous.
just stay unfamous, Greg, because I have similar worries and woes of things. So let's stay under the radar and unfamous on the Culture Swally. Anyway, well, let's get us out of this cul-de-sac. Have you seen anything else this week, Greg?
No, let's get us out of the sex crime cul-de-sac. No, I haven't seen anything else this week.
Get us away from Ian Robertson Rowe. Okay, before we go on to what we'll be talking about today, which includes more Scots in America, flashing them bits in kilts, let's have a little word from our sponsor.
Something big is happening in our society. Dunfermline folk are popping up throughout the country. Popping up with saving schemes to improve their wealth, mortgage plans, and insurances for their financial health. So come and get some big ideas on your economy. Visit your Dunfermline, Scotland's biggest society.
So it was your turn to choose our film or TV show this week. So why don't you introduce what we're going to be talking about?
Thank you very much, Greg. Yes, on today's episode, just influenced by the amount of Scots infiltrating the US and influenced by the feel-good factor and also influenced by Craig Ferguson, who did the wonderful Kilt Walk, not that Craig Ferguson, and of course also influenced by Billy Connolly's sketch in the last episode we did about a Scotsman named Crawford. We are talking about the 1999 American comedy film starring Craig Ferguson, and it is called The Big Tease. Directed by Kevin Allen, Lily Allen's uncle, because, Keith Allen's brother. And written by Craig Ferguson and Sasha Gervasi. The cast includes Francis Fisher, Mary McCormack, Chris Langham, David Raish, David Hasselhoff, Caitlyn Jenner, Drew Carey. The film follows a Scottish hairdresser who goes to Hollywood to compete in an international hairdressing contest. Released in January 2000 in the States, The Big Tease received some poor reviews by critics, by people who obviously just didn't understand it. But Greg, this was your first time watching this masterpiece, wasn't it?
It was, and I think it's perhaps it's been treated a wee bit unfairly by the reviewers, because it feels a bit late 90s, which of course it is. I read Roger Ebert's review of it, and Roger Ebert, obviously famous American critic, no longer with us, but he reviewed it when it came out, and he's quite kind to it. He gave it 2 out of 4 stars, but he was kind to it. He said that, the jokes, he said, I could describe a joke to you from the film and you would probably laugh, but they don't work. They don't always work that well on the screen because they don't sort of gather momentum. They just sort of happen and go away again, which I think is probably quite fair. But I remember this being out, and I was aware of Craig Ferguson because my dad used to have on cassette his Bing Hitler album. I think it was recorded. His comedy Alter Ego. It was pretty blue. But my dad thought it was really, really funny. So I did know Craig Ferguson from that mainly. I didn't know him particularly well. I hadn't seen a lot of the stuff that he'd been in. But I remember this being out, and I was obviously living in Scotland. It got a lot of press because it was, local boy doing well in the US. And it even if it wasn't a particularly critically well-received film, it really gave Craig Ferguson a massive springboard in America, right? Huge. But is this before he did Drew Carey or after?
During. He was doing the Drew Carey show at the time. Right. That was kind of his big break in America. So Craig Ferguson had been, exactly as you say, he'd been doing bit parts like kind of in UK. The first thing I think I saw him in, I remember, he's in an episode of Red Dwarf.
Yes. It's Confidence.
An episode called... He is, The episode is Confidence and Paranoia, and he plays Confidence. And I think that was probably... And he was in a few other things. Of course, we've covered him. He was in The Bogeyman with Robbie Coltrane, what we looked at. A bit miscast in that, we thought. But he was still good. He was in things like... He was in an episode of One Foot in the Grave. Yeah. He was in the One Foot in the Algarve episode. And he kind of bounced between America and Scotland doing stand-up and just musical stuff and kind of thing until his breakthrough came on the Drew Carey show. Yeah. And it seemed odd at the time that he had his own film and own vehicle, but it was kind of the making of him in the States, really. So this came about, the inspiration came from Craig Ferguson. He had a desire to make a cheerful film to celebrate Scottishness. Yeah. And at the time, we'd had films like Braveheart, Rob Roy, Trainspotting, Shallow Grave. Everything was kind of bleak and dull. So he wanted something that was a bit fun. And, it certainly is. Like, that's the thing. It's filmed in a documentary, so mockumentary style. And I really enjoyed this film. Like, it's under 90 minutes. It's fun. Okay, there are a few things that are maybe offensive, but I don't think they'd be offensive to the people that it's offending, if that makes sense. I see it as playful and fun, and it's okay, because it's not okay. Well, maybe it is offensive in that you have Craig Ferguson, a straight male, playing a homosexual gentleman. That's potentially offensive there, but it's not done for laughs. It's not, Crawford's sexuality is never dealt with like in an ugly or defamatory kind of fashion. Okay, there's kind of things about his relationship with Gareth, but it's more like his mum doesn't know he's gay, but everyone else does. And that's the only thing. He's not ashamed of it. He doesn't hide it. He says at one point, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay. It's more like, I think his mum, he calls Gareth his friend from his mum. Anyway, I enjoyed this. Like, it's fun. There's nothing, you don't need to think about anything. I mean, it's basically just Crawford trying to outfox Monique and get his place in the Platinum Scissors competition. But the film kind of is quite charming in a way. And I mean, what a lesson in resilience. Crawford does not take no for an answer. And it just shows, just keep plugging away and you'll get what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything all that original in the story. They kind of fish out of water character has been done a million times. And you're right. These days, you wouldn't have a straight actor playing a homosexual part. I just wouldn't happen anymore. But it was something it was something that was fairly common back then. You had I think Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. You had Terence Stamp and Guy Pearce as drag queens, right? Was Terence Stamp in Priscilla? I think he was. And so. Patrick Swayze did one as well. I can't remember what it was called. I don't think he was Priscilla. It was another one, right?
It was like To Wong Fu, thanks for something, Julie Newmar.
Yes.
Or something.
Well, fucking great recollection there.
I can't remember the full. It was To Wong Fu, thanks for something.
Thanks for everything. I
can't remember.
Was it Thanks for
Everything?
I think it was. Yeah. So, but I guess that's just sensibilities have evolved and moved forward, and I wouldn't think that would be a reason to criticize this film, because as you say, he's not. It never punches down. No, I don't think it makes fun of the homosexual community. Do you know what I mean? At all. But what I did enjoy about it was unfortunately, the sort of second lead is played by problematic actor Chris Langham, who, yes, sadly, which is a shame because he's funny. He's very funny in this, just like he was very funny in the thick of it as well. But I liked the documentary style. I thought that's what I think it sort of elevates the film. I think doing it like that, and I know that isn't original either. There's like a little note, there's a little bit of Spinal Tap and all that in there, but I think it works. Yeah. I think it works really well. That it sort of gives a bit of an authenticity as to how he's able to get into these places and get in front of people, because he's obviously been followed around by a camera crew, which makes him look more important than he's being treated as being on the streets of Hollywood.
There's also the opportunity for nice, like, somber moments, like when he's feeling down and things aren't going his way, and to see Campbell's reaction to those moments of the way he is, and being able to... if it was just a film, you wouldn't get those moments.
Yeah.
And I think the mockumentary really allows it. I'm thinking, like, when he meets Monique for the first time and he realizes it's all a misunderstanding and he's not actually competing, he was just invited to be an audience. And the way he's packing up and he's like, oh, it's fine, it's okay, it's fine, no worries, and walks out. A very Scottish way to deal with a situation like that.
Yeah.
But also, you would see that in perhaps a film, but the aftermath you might not see in that way. So yeah, I agree. I think it's a very cleverly done mechanism to make the film work. And it really does work to its benefit, I think.
Yeah, it does. And, you know, it's a shame that we can't talk about Chris Langham a bit more, but he plays the part of the sort of hapless interviewer who, you know, has got more experience of the US and Hollywood than Crawford. But is also a bit of a fish out of water as well, you know?
Yeah.
He's
very straight-laced.
Yeah.
Crawford's almost taking him out of his shell, going to like Club Spartacus and stuff.
Yeah.
Enjoying himself.
Yeah. There's two girls getting off with each other over there. So, yeah, I mean, the mockumentary bit works really, really well. The scenes at the beginning in Glasgow, I thought were great, and you know, like this, I kind of wish they had found a better actor to play his mum, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But they could have got Eileen McCallum or something. I'm sure she'd have turned up for it. She'd been fucking brilliant. But you know, the whole send-off party in the Indian restaurant and the people that have
brilliant.
Like the postman is there, and that girl who fancies him is there, she doesn't realise he's gay either. All the Indian guys just being interviewed about him. Yeah, I thought those scenes were brilliant. And the scene when his mum's being interviewed in the garden and the neighbours wandering in the back of the shot, I thought was really funny.
It's just so funny, the random neighbour, and she's like, I think you should put a top on or a jumper on because it's getting cold, and just the neighbour, I've never liked you.
So there was a hint of genius even when he was...
Oh, yes.
What channel is this for, mate?
It's a documentary for English television.
What channel is it for?
It's a documentary for English television. If you just like to stand over there, sir. We're just shooting in this direction here, and it's very difficult for me to concentrate on.
I think you should go and get a sweater on. It's getting rather cold.
This is my garden. You've always bothered me, by the way.
What was he like as a child?
Very, very intelligent.
But you're right, the party, it's so wholesome, like at the Indian restaurant with, the people that own the restaurant, but they're his friends there as well. And that's when you get the kind of, you know, Gareth is there as his friend, but it's just his friend. But when they're interviewing people, there is one of the guys says, he'll be with his own kind in California.
His own kind.
It's okay. There's gay people there. He'll be okay. And that's when you know, obviously, his mum doesn't know that he and Gareth are more than just friends. Yeah, the scene there is just brilliant in terms of the setting. This is his life here. This is how he operates. This is the community around him. And off he goes to the States. So it's not really a wonder of when he's there. It's like, how is he managing to, you know, mess this up or navigate through this? But he does a very surprisingly good job in terms of getting into the event and the way that he's schmoozing, as he mentions a lot, schmoozing, and that's what he's done, and he's very good at that.
The scene when he first arrives in the hotel and he's enamoured by the electric curtains.
That is one of my favourite. You know, the whole part in terms of him getting into the hotel room with the 4-poster bed. And I mean, Craig Ferguson has said in the film, like, he said it's almost a mirror image of the show business I know. He said that his story of moving to America is very similar to Crawford's story. That's where the story comes from, effectively. But yeah, when he's got the 4-poster bed and he's on the phone to people, the room service, the naked massage scene. But when he's singing... That's the two bits. It's the electric curtains bit that got me, but it's also when he's singing California Dreaming on the balcony, but he does all the bits that it's so simple, but it's so fucking funny the way he does it.
Yeah, it's just because he thinks that it's all gratis, he just rips the arse out of it. I think one of the best scenes and one of the funniest characters is the hotel manager. I mean, that guy could have had his own, like, half-hour special. It was really, really funny.
I think it's perfect left as is because he steals the film for me.
He does.
Dunstan Cactus, played by Larry Miller. Yeah, I love that character. Fantastic. And especially the tag at the end when it tells what everyone's been up to. And he's been up to no good with the bellboy. He's just got some of the best lines in that scene.
Yeah.
When speaking about how he's never been to Scotland, but he's seen postcards, he actually considers himself to be part Scottish. And then when he drops in the alcoholism about I used to love booze, haven't had a drink for 5 days. And then just casually about his uncle inserting his index finger into his anus.
I am an alcoholic. I'm not afraid to say that to them, by the way. I used to think it was because my uncle inserted his index finger into my anus when I was a kid, but that's all water under the bridge now. All right, to business. We have a teeny problem.
my oldest daughter wandered into the room just as that scene was starting. And she was watching it and she just thought it was the funniest thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she really, because, like, you know, no, I don't suppose you do know, she don't live with teenagers, but it's very difficult, if you want to show them, like, a film or a TV show, it's very difficult to get their full attention because they fucking can't leave their fucking cunting phones alone for, like, an hour or however long a movie is. You know, well, my younger daughter is a bit better, but my older daughter, attention span is all over the place. So she was sort of sitting on the sofa. Her boyfriend's away at the moment, so she's obviously messaging him. And then this scene started when Dunstan is talking about his water drinks cabinet and about why he thinks he's an alcoholic, and she thought it was really, really, really funny. And I thought, well, I wonder if she'll stay and watch the whole film, but she didn't. She disappeared back up to her lair not long after. He's
played by Larry Miller, and there's a lot of people in this film that are like, oh, it's him, oh, it's her. Where do I know? And he's always going to be the doorman from Seinfeld for me. But he's a great American actor, but he's almost been like superseded or market corrected, as you would say, by David Kirchner,
right?
Who is in like Anchorman and stuff. They're quite similar. And I bet they went for a lot of the same roles kind of around about. They kind of have a little bit of a similar look, similar style, similar delivery. But yeah, he's just phenomenal. I was so glad when it came back at the end with this little title card. I
really hope to have. I really hope to see like a wee bit more of him in the film. But yeah, I mean that scene, like the whole sequence from arriving at the hotel to realizing that it's not free and they're keeping his passport and he has to go, and that's when he finds out that he's only been invited to audition. Invited to be in the audience rather than compete in the competition.
But that's what you would do if you were left alone in a hotel and you think it's all expenses paid, don't you? You go crazy. You would get the room service. You would get massages. You would phone. Of course, you'd go crazy and use everything up.
Well, I've been in a lot of rooms that have been laid on, and it's unusual that you're told just have at it. Normally it's like the room's paid for, and if you want to rent a film, if you want something out the mini bar, then you're fucking paying for it yourself.
Yeah, of course, yes. And even if you did think things were covered, you maybe wouldn't go crazy. Yeah. Similarly, anytime I've had the room covered or anything, or it'll be the room and dinner covered, but anything else is obviously on you. which unfortunately, Crawford, has to find out for himself the hard way. So, when we find out that he hasn't actually been invited to take part in the event, he is only in the audience, you feel sorry for him immediately, but he will end up getting to compete. But it is just him trying to get all these kind of jump through hoops and stuff. And I guess the nemesis is David Rush, played by Stieg, a rival hairdresser who is just glorious at chewing up the scenery.
Yeah.
It's meant to be, it took me a while to work out. I was like, is he meant to be like Swedish and then they say obviously he's Norwegian. Now, he's a Hall of Fame, that guy. And he recently killed it in Succession as Carl.
Yeah.
But probably known for like Ugly Betty, Bored to Death, Men in Black 3, and Veep. And he's in The Loop as well. He's worked a few times with Armando Iannucci.
Yeah.
And he's been in a couple of Coen Brothers films as well, which tells you probably his type of humour, I think.
Yeah.
And he kills it. Is Stig. Like, not a typical, like, it's not a stereotypical European foe, like a German or a Russian or something. He's Norwegian.
Yeah.
And that element just makes it all the funnier. And you're kind of not sure initially, like, oh, he's a friendly, but he's not. He's a great rival kind of character to Crawford.
Yeah, and the comedy that he's doing here is a bit broader than, sort of Succession, Coen Brothers type comedy, which is, like to see, because it did take me, I had to look him up. I didn't recognise him straight out the gate, but I did. He's got one of those faces where you're like, fucking hell. But because he's got the long wig on, and he's obviously a lot younger in the Big Tease than he was in Succession, I had to get my phone out during the watch and look him up. I was like, oh, it's Carl.
But there's so many in this film that are like that. Like Ted McGinley as Stig's right-hand man. I was a bit like, is that Ted? Is that Ted McGinley? Like, of course, nailing it now is Derek in Shrinking, but he's... Of course. Did you not realise?
No, I didn't get him, no.
It's lovely Derek, probably everyone's favourite character in a show where there are a lot of cool characters.
Yeah.
But popping up. And of course, Sarah Gilbert from Roseanne. Is too in a very small role.
That did surprise me because she was obviously like a bit of a household name, because Roseanne, I think, was maybe just finished maybe around about kind of mid to late 90s. Like, it sort of went off the rails a bit, Roseanne, didn't it? The story went a bit fucking mad.
It did, yeah. She I think they basically erased a season.
Yeah, because I think John Goodman died in one season, and then they were like, oh, yeah, it's kind of shit when it's just Roseanne Barr. Let's bring John back. And then she turned out to be a racist, and now it's the Connors without Roseanne. But everyone else is still in it.
And I guess this must be, I literally just checked to make sure it was around about the same time. Because I would think, oh yeah, of course, she's in High Fidelity as well, which came out just a few months after this. So yeah, a couple of films that she had out around about this time after the end of Roseanne. But yeah, nice surprise that she's in this as well.
Yeah, maybe she was in it a bit more, but she had some scenes cut out, perhaps something like that. Yeah. Because it does seem like she's kind of like, for the time this film came out, it felt as if she's kind of too big a name just to be in that one scene as a kind of friendly receptionist. She's a great name though, like Gretel Dickens.
And yeah, this film is just full of like kind of great little names or great little side jokes that are in there that you have to kind of look into. Obviously, receptionist to Candace Harper, played by Frances Fisher. Absolutely necessary character for this film. Absolutely love the relationship she has with Crawford, the way they interact. Like, it's sweet, and they're both kind of using each other in a way, but not really, because they have a mutually beneficial friendship. Like, Crawford's getting Candy's contacts and things, and Candy's getting her hair done and gets to have fun, and they just have some great lines, some chemistry. I absolutely love when Crawford's at the Night from Hell and she's trying to get him his hag card and sort everything out, and when she's arranged him this gig to do the furry's hair, and Crawford comes in and says, sorry, I was busy getting raped in prison. And she says you shouldn't be enjoying yourself when you have a job to do. Like, for fuck's sake. But the way she delivers it, and he doesn't even flinch. And she's the reason, because he just keeps getting block after block, and she's helped him all she kind of can. And then she's the one that says, like, look, snap out of it. Stop being a pussy. Yeah. And that's when she gets Drew Carey involved. And without her, Crawford wouldn't get to attend the Platinum Scissors event. So she really is the driving force behind this. But I love her character, and I love the relationship that they have.
I mean, she's a great actor, and she's one of those actors that has just been in absolutely everything. The biggest surprise when I saw her, and I did recognise her, so I was like, oh, it's Kate Winslet's mum from Titanic.
Yes.
But the character that she plays in this is completely different. You know what I mean? Like the scene after their night out when they wake up in bed together, and she's teasing him about that he slept with her and all that, and then she's out doing her Pilates thing. You know, when she's sort of hanging off the apparatus and stretching her legs and all that. Yeah. You know, She's the last thing I saw her in was and they've never made any more of it, which was a shame because it was really good, was the Watchmen TV show that came out just before the pandemic. They've never done any more they've never done any more of them, but I don't really know why either. I don't suppose they will now, but it was really good. And she was really good in it. So she was really, really good.
But yeah, she's a wonderful character in terms of being able to get things on. And yeah, she's been in so much stuff. She was in it must have been like a American soap. The Edge of Night, because she was in 247 episodes of it. And that was like the first thing she did. So I guess that's equivalent to her being in like EastEnders and then going off to like Hollywood or something. But absolutely brilliant.
Not many people have done.
But the whole reason that she gets involved is because Crawford is trying to get, he needs a hag card. So he needs the Hairdressers Guild of America, the Hairdressers of America Guild.
Yeah, because then you can get the hag pun in, can't you? Then
yes, of course. So then, if he gets the hag card, then he can go to Whiff and he can get to enter the competition. Now, the reason he gets in touch with Candy is because she is Sean Connery's publicist there, and Crawford once helped Sean out in Gleneagles to iron his wig, but obviously we don't find this out till later. So he's trying to get Sean Connery's number so he can call him, get a celebrity endorsement. There's a whole sketch of Sean Connery impressions, bits about his wig. Now, I do know the answer to this. I had written a question. Do you think Sean knew about all of this? But I know the answer to this. It's that he did. And he was fine with it because he was good friends with Craig Ferguson. So apparently he was all fine.
Not good friends enough to guest in his movie, though.
No. I was wondering at some point, is there going to be a cameo from Sean? And I thought, don't be ridiculous. It's Sean Connery. He wouldn't fucking do that, even for his best mate. But he just know Sean.
But he did have a quite robust sense of humour, Sean Connery. Like, I always remember, I think they showed it on a Billy Connolly sort of documentary or something, but when Sean Connery was getting the Scottish BAFTA Fellowship, which would have been maybe late 90s, early 2000s, and Billy Connolly did the dedication, and, you know, Billy Connolly's charming and cracking jokes and stuff, and Sean Connery is absolutely pissing himself laughing. There's one thing he says, I always dreamed about playing his son in a film, but I suppose now I look more like his brother. And everyone laughs and he goes, although he won't admit to being my father. He's going, Daddy! That's Sean Connery. Sean Connery is absolutely pissing himself laughing. So I think he did have. I'm not all that surprised to hear that he was fine with, because there's a great line that Craig Ferguson does when he's, I don't know if it's if he's pretending to call Sean or he's doing a practice run or something, but he says, Mr. Connery, I never congratulated you in the subaquatic sequences and never say never again.
That's some of the practice calls they used to.
Really made me laugh.
But it's nice to hear that he was apparently very supportive of it and was like, yeah, fine, it's okay. I'm not going to be in it, but yeah, we can do that. So I think, Big Tam had a sense of humour. and was happy to have some fun poked at him there, which is all good, I think, for Big Sean. But it's gutted that we never got to see a little cameo or something, or it would have been nice at the very end to have like a little update. But, well, Sean isn't a hero, though, because Crawford does speak to him and he gets told where to go. So he has to find an alternative route to get his hag card. So Sean isn't a hero in all of this.
No, he's not.
Well, but then he does use his impression of him later on, which does get him technically into the show. So maybe it did work eventually. I don't know.
It gets him into the senator's house, played by quite a famous American character actor, making his Swally debut, Charles Napier of the Valley of the Dolls. I remember being in that and a few other bits of bobs.
Yeah, a huge.
I remember setting the video for that one night on BBC Two.
Yeah, as the senator in the States, but not really. Well, but no, he does. He gets charmed by Crawford, but very strange character. But gets charmed by him and lets him enter into the competition.
Yeah, I just looked up Charles Napier there, and I saw a picture of him, and he looks. Oh, he's much older in the picture, and I thought, is he still alive? But he's not. He passed away in 2011 at the ripe old age of 75. Wow. But yeah, he is. I mean, he's in everything from the Blues Brothers to Silence of the Lambs to Austin Powers to just Curb Your Enthusiasm. He even pops up in an episode of that. He's just in absolutely everything. Video games. Storied career going back probably 50 years. But I thought he was quite good in this. I've never seen him do anything where he's playing a kind of funny character. I've seen him playing like sort of serious characters in funny films. Like I think in like Austin Powers, he plays like a sort of generic army general, having to respond to these ridiculous threats by Dr. Evil and all that kind of thing. But I'd never seen him playing a sort of consciously silly character before I saw this.
And I think, it's the point of the character is that he's kind of meant to be a serious character, but has a little bit of fun, a glint in his eye as well. So I think it does kind of get well covered in this. But he's great and a huge actor from over the realm. But he does let Crawford into the competition because he has the power. So now there's 4 people competing in this amazing hairdressing contest. Now, that's kind of the last 20 minutes or so of the film is like they hit the competition. It does take it a little bit out of it, but you're also still kind of invested because this is a chance for them to show a little bit of stereotypical kind of characters. Now, we already know Stig, and then we get to meet the other competitors in the hairdressing competition, which we have, of course, Dick Miyake, who is representing Japan and comes out with a wonderful House of Rising Sun creation, which gets like 9.7 across the board. But I think Dave London from England he does a nice little football kind of hairstyle, gets 9.9 across the board. He is a very stereotypical kind of 90s English, like, you recognise that character.
The sort of Damien Hirst of hairdressing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. When he's just stumbled upon or on this talent that he has. He only went in for a shit in the pub and then ended up cutting hair. And now he's won all these awards. And he's like, I only went in for a shit. And sums up the kind of that era, that area, and that is Craig Ferguson, I presume, poking fun at exactly that type of person.
Yeah,
and it works for me.
Yeah, me too. I mean, if I'm honest, it felt a bit like it went off the rails a wee bit through the competition, because and they just kind of they sort of just expect you to be invested and suspend your disbelief, that these guys are able to create these audacious hairstyles with moving parts and things. And they even managed to find a piper for Crawford. You know what I mean? Like, it just all kind of, and you're left in no doubt that Stig's going to get his comeuppance and Crawford, after he sabotaged Crawford's potions and treatments and things, and Crawford's going to win the competition. But what I liked was the bulk of the film is getting to the competition, and the actual competition is actually a really short part of the film. I remember it starting and looking at the time, and there was something like 12 minutes left or something. And I was like, oh, okay, we're not going to be with these guys for too long. But it does, like, all sense, so any kind of sense of realism that they might have been trying to maintain at any other point in the film is just completely out the window. And it's sort of fine because you're invested in the characters by then. You know, you're rooting for Crawford, you like Candy, you know, and the BBC interviewer played by Chris Lang, and I just love how everybody's helping with the hair treatment.
Yeah,
at the end, like everyone's mucking in, and you know, he's getting the cheese board to put in her hair and all this sort of stuff. And just this girl who's just like sort of sitting chilling at a table is suddenly like an amazing, knows exactly how to model as she walks down the stairs, like pointing her shoulders, but it's fine.
See, I thought they missed. I thought it was going to go somewhere else, and I really did, because the opening kind of scene where we see Crawford in the hairdresser, his salon in Glasgow.
Yeah.
He does Senga, who works in the bakery. He does her hair.
Senga.
Spoiler alert for archetypal Scottish moment. And he like basically cuts her hair and dyes it red and does this bouffant, right? Then when he does Candy's hair, he cuts it short and dyes it red. So when Stig put all the hair dye, the red dye into the product, I thought, Crawford's going to be like, it's okay, I know what I'm doing, and come up with a creation. But no, it's a case of, no, I need a new model, need to start from scratch and go for that. So, okay, does that mean the design that won him wasn't his original thought or design to win the competition? Because it looks like he's kind of MacGyvered it towards the end, really.
Yeah, he sort of has. I'm not sure. I mean, it almost doesn't matter by that point, because everyone's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's just all gone a bit upside down and silly, and I didn't mind, you know what I mean? I was kind of in for it by that point.
But I agree with you, though, that by the time it gets to that scene, it does get into, right, let's put in some stereotypical kind of racial stereotypes. Let's amplify up the fun. Let's make it ridiculous. He's been sabotaged. Let's throw in ridiculous haircuts. Like, although saying that, Dick Miyake and Dave London's hairstyles are ridiculous. The Odin's longboat that Stig comes up with, that could work. That's fucking nice bit of hairstyling. That's cool. I like that. But, you know, never mind.
The thing that struck me the most throughout the film, but especially during the competition, is everybody's smoking. Not Crawford, but people are just like lighting up everywhere. You know what I mean? And you do forget, like, although it's the late 90s and it's, you know, it's almost 30 years ago. Almost 30 years ago. But people were just still sort of smoking almost. I remember people smoking walking through the Bonaccord Centre in Aberdeen in the mid-90s. You know what I mean? It was just and people smoking in the upstairs back of the bus and all that sort of thing. I guess because of the age we are, it doesn't feel that long ago, but obviously is. But it's just unthinkable now, isn't it? That people just light up, you know, as they're cutting your hair or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, completely true. But yeah, it definitely was very much the done thing. You just have a fag, especially next to all these highly flammable products as well. But you're like, it's okay. It's fine. I'm kind of used to it. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, Tom London's like, he's got a fag hanging out his mouth, isn't he, when he's preparing his submission for the golden scissors.
He certainly does. Yeah, he does. He's always smoking. That's probably just because he's just been in the toilet for a shit or something. Obviously, he wins, of course.
Yeah.
Reigns supreme. He now has won the competition. He is awarded the platinum scissors, and then he goes back to Glasgow because basically he's fed up of America, so goes back. But he has remained victorious, and he's done it for Scotland. And I totally agree. You know, as soon as he gets to enter, you're like, well, he's going to win this. Or you're kind of thinking, is this going to be Scottish? Is something going to happen? And he's going to come runner-up to Stig. Like, that's usually the way.
Yeah.
But you're right. As soon as we know that his product has been sabotaged, you know that he's going to win this. And which kind of takes maybe a little bit of not the enjoyment or anything out of it, but you know what I mean? It does kind of take I know he's going to win this now.
Well, it's just a bit by the numbers by then, isn't it? You know. But it's fine, because I think there's quite a lot of originality elsewhere in the film. that, you know, you can kind of let them off with it. A big question for me in this. You think Hasselhoff thought that this might kickstart a bit of a movie career for him if he did a few minutes of the Big Tease?
Now, what was Hasselhoff doing around about 2000?
Baywatch Nights?
We doing around about? Was it around about then?
Let's have a look and
around
see.
About that time? But possibly, maybe he just thought, you know, he would... Because they were a few years away from him, like Scott Mills, are we allowed to mention him? Getting Jump in My Car to #1 in the UK. That was around about 2006, I think.
I've forgotten all about that. How ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let me see. So 1999, he did an episode of Third Rock from the Sun. He was in a TV series called Action.
Okay.
Got one episode, must have been a pilot. Welcome to Hollywood, playing himself. He was the original Nick Fury for the Marvel character.
Oh, yeah.
The year before, he did a Baywatch film called White Thunder at Glacier Bay.
Oh, wow. So maybe Hoff was looking for a little bit of a career injection and hoping that he could get something on the back of this, but maybe.
Yeah, I think he kind of fucked it by this point. It's a little...
In an alternative universe, if he wasn't so handsy, do you think this would have been a good role for John Barrowman?
Yeah. He'd probably have, it's right up his street. I think, I'm not, even before we knew what we knew about John Barrowman, I wasn't a big fan. Just a bit too much. I would never forget when Glasgow hosted the Commonwealth Games and he opened it and with this big silly song and dance number and dancing tonics, tea cakes and all this kind of thing. Just like, oh, come on, fuck. I mean, really? He's from Canada. You know, he grew up in Canada. You couldn't have found anybody else. Like, it was a bit more authentically Glaswegian they had Karen Dunbar there. You know, why could she not have done it herself? You know? But yeah, I could see him. I could see him in this role for sure. Maybe if they do like they do with a lot of films now, they turn them into musicals, don't they? Maybe the Big Tease is ripe for a musical.
I was going to say I could see him on the West End stage doing this or something.
Off Broadway.
Yeah, off. The limo driver, Eamon, do you think is this an indication?
Culture Swally debut. Gotham's Donald Logue.
Exactly. Making his debut. Do you think, is this representative of us being Scottish? He wants to charge Crawford $200 and then he says, where are you from? Scotland, 75. And then Crawford gets $50. Do you think that is, you're Scottish? Oh, okay, yeah, 75. I'll give you 120% off.
Probably. I was trying to think about, because my wife and I had part of our honeymoon in Los Angeles and we got a taxi from LAX to Hollywood as well, because we were staying at the Holiday Inn on Highland Avenue, which is just behind Hollywood Boulevard, just up the hill a wee bit. And I was trying to think, how much did we pay in that taxi? I could not for the life of me remember how much we paid. I seem to think it was about $50 or maybe less than that. But it took a long time. Maybe it wasn't. I can't remember, but it did take fucking ages. It took ages.
You didn't get
almost an hour.
It wasn't a limo, though.
No, it was just a yellow taxi. The taxi driver's like, which way do you want me to go? I'm like, I don't fucking know the quickest way. I don't... Just pick me up from an airport.
I read a review on this online that said it was really hard to root for Crawford. And is it because we're Scottish that I was like, I don't agree with that at all. I completely was rooting for Crawford.
It's a completely inoffensive character. I don't know why. Yeah. You know, even the scenes when he's sort of letting it go, like when they go to the nightclub and the bit you mentioned earlier about singing on the balcony and everything, it's not annoying. I didn't find it annoying. No. But, you know, I think when he goes to the nightclub and he's kilt and everything and all the gear on and stuff. I mean, the nightclub, I have to say, I wonder if they were running out of money at this point, because the nightclub didn't look that busy or that big.
No, it didn't.
Or, you know, when she's like, oh, you got to take him dancing at Spartacus. I was expecting a big super club, and it just feels a bit of a speakeasy club or like a pub with a dance floor, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like the best. No, it doesn't. You're right. Like even the Blue Oyster Bar in Police Academy's got more people in it.
It does.
So yeah, you're right. It does seem quite empty. It is like one of those. Yeah, maybe it was on Monday or Tuesday night or something.
Yeah.
There was no Tartan Army in there. Let's just say that.
Maybe it was bring your own bottle night or something like that.
The other bit I did laugh at and I did like a lot is when he is going round the various hairdressers to try and get his hag card, and he goes into one and, he's just making up an excuse, and he comes out and he says, oh, they're racist. They said, he's like, what, racist? Because, they said they didn't like Braveheart, they don't like whiskey, and we don't like your accent. Is that...
No joy?
Racists.
Racists?
Racists. Said to me, we didn't like Braveheart, we don't like whiskey, and we don't like your accent, so please get out. I don't know about you, Martin, but that sounds like racism to me.
Fair enough.
I thought that was really good. I did like that as a kind of you could tell and again, you wouldn't have got that without the mockumentary element. Yeah. He's been rejected. He doesn't want to admit no, they've said no because I'm a nobody. So I need to think of something. Fuck it, I'll say they're racist. Let's play the racism card in 2000 in America.
I like the scene when he ends up in the sort of barbers talking to the guy, and they kind of bond over the classic haircuts that the barbers doing on the guys. So like that kind of undercut thing that he's doing. It kind of reminded me of Barney Thompson, but not the film, but the book, because the book's really funny. I think the book's funnier because it talks about the types of hairstyles. I've just done a 1982 Alex McLeish, or that kind of thing.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that element. That's a brilliant part of the book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously this film wasn't a huge success, but Craig Ferguson himself did very well. Took over for the Late Show from Craig Kilborn in January 2005 and hosted it for nearly 10 years until James Corden, we won't speak about him, took over. And I don't know if it's helped by the fact Corden took it over, that Craig Ferguson's legacy still lasts to this day, that everyone thinks that he was wonderful and he was a great show host. And he was very open and honest, I think. Like there's a particular clip that does the rounds a lot about him talking about his alcoholism and giving up. And I think he enjoyed having fun with his guests, but he also was perfectly at ease speaking about himself or his experiences and stuff. And I think it's I'm really pleased to see that he did well. And I mean, he basically just lives in America. Like he appeared in an episode of Still Game in 2018.
Yes.
And that marked his first UK TV appearance in 25 years.
Yeah. He, I wondered if... So he's obviously been really successful as a chat show host. And he's very different to the types of guys that were hosting chat shows at that time, people like Letterman, Jay Leno, because he's not a sort of American middle-aged guy. He comes from a country that probably most Americans don't know a great deal about, and he's been really successful. And he wasn't like a big name at that point. I guess he'd been successful as a member of the Drew Carey show, which was a big show. But so I wondered if the whole thing about putting James Corden in after Ferguson stepped down was to try and recreate, it's a guy who's been really successful in the UK, not really done anything in the US at that point.
Yeah.
And I suppose Corden was on it for quite a long time, but I think, Craig Ferguson, I think, is warm, and Corden is sort of snide. There's something about disingenuous and inauthentic about him. Because you see him doing The Late Show, and then you see him doing other bits and bobs, and you hear that he's been a cunt to a waiter in a restaurant and stuff. And then you see him talking about Gavin and Stacey with Ruth, what's her second name?
Jones.
Jones. When he's doing that, he comes across as like nice guy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Have an artist and stuff. And I'm like, what's the act? I think the nice guy artist bit's the act, and the snide is actually what he's probably a bit like,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. when there's nobody else around.
Full kit wanker.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Corden. I wouldn't, trust him as far as I could throw him, which isn't very far for a cunt. So, not a fan of Corden. So, but he must have hosted it for like 10 years, I think, as well. Same as kind of Craig Ferguson. So, never mind. This film to me, it's a message about never giving up on your hopes, your dreams.
Okay.
But also, it's like Braveheart. It's about a Scotsman fighting against the odds.
Is it?
Yeah. This film's like Braveheart, I would say.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Yeah, I guess it's maybe got something in common with Braveheart.
The other alternative is this film is less about hairdressing and it's more about being Scottish and gay and getting into hijinks in LA.
I think there's probably a bit more the latter than the former in it, if I'm being really honest. But yeah, look, it's always nice, and it kind of takes us all the way back to some of the stories about Scotland fans in Boston. It's always we always like to see our country, men and women, being really well received in other countries, especially America. Like people like actors like Karen Gillan, who's got an amazing Hollywood career. And I saw she was doing some videos from Miami, and she's just in amongst it with her friends, and they really down to earth. But it's always nice to see, and I think that's why this film's always going to be well received, especially in Scotland, is because it's one of our own triumphing over adversity, and as you mentioned before, it's really kind of given Craig Ferguson this massive career in the US, and he's even an American citizen now, isn't he? He's got a tattoo on his arm apparently that says "Join or Die," and apparently it's something that Benjamin Franklin said in the American War of Independence to somebody. I didn't really read the whole thing, but I probably should have done. So yeah, that's why this movie works so well, I think.
Yeah, I liked watching the Brazil game, and it cut like halfway through to the crowd, and here was Hollywood Butler in his Scotland top sitting there watching the game, and you're like, that's great, because obviously they wouldn't have cut to him if he hadn't been famous, because obviously it's coming from FIFA's feed, and it was like, they've recognised, here's Gerard Butler, and he's wearing his Scotland top. Let's get on him. And I like to see that. That was nice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, is it time to put the Big Tease through our Swally Awards?
Let's do it then, Craig. Let's do it. Why not?
So, the first award is the Bobby the Barman Award for the best pub. Has to be Spartacus, right?
Yeah, I've got Club Spartacus. I've got nothing else. Didn't even consider anything else. Let's go. It's quiet. We'll get served at the bar easily.
Exactly. We'll play some tunes. Next award then is the James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. It's got to be Ferguson. I couldn't find anyone else.
I went with Craig Ferguson, even though, the only thing really is the bogeyman.
He's the only Scottish actor. He's the only Scottish actor in it, apart from a couple of the people at the very beginning.
And they've only been in one or two things each when I looked at some of the been in. So yeah, I went with Craig Ferguson. Yeah, I think you could technically say Sean Connery, but Craig Ferguson is probably the best answer.
Next award is the Jake McQuillan Yartizu Award. Not really, I didn't really get anything for this. There's not really any violence in it, is there?
Nah, I put getting shot at in Koreatown, and that was kind of it. There's not really any... It's implied he was violently raped in prison, but we didn't see it. You could kind of put Stig getting his comeuppance, but again, so yeah, I went with getting shot at in Koreatown.
And the next one, I didn't write anything down for it. I'm annoyed because I'm sure there probably are some decent ones, but the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing.
You know something, mate? There's not really, because I watched it once and then I watched it the second time and paying attention. There's one fucking and that I could make out, and it's just after like Monique has told him that we're not doing it, and just before he's like, oh, I'm fine, okay, no worries, and leaves. He does say, so I've wrote down fucking, but of course I didn't go back to double check the exact line, which I should have, but he definitely does say the word fucking.
Right, yeah, I'm not surprised. Next, then, the Hugh McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity. It's only really Ferguson's a bare arse when he's getting sort of massaged / beaten by the robust masseuse.
Which is enough. I don't need to see any more, but yes, that is the award for nudity. His bare arse, definitely.
And next one, I think you might have given this one away for yourself earlier, but the archetypal Scottish moment.
Well, surprisingly, despite what I mentioned earlier, I did go with flashing in a kilt.
Yeah.
Because it has to be done. But there are quite a few Scottish moments that I could have gone for. Did you go for anything?
I went for 2. I went for that luminous fucking curry that we see at the Leaving
yeah.
It's sort of curry you'd only really get in Glasgow. The one that kind of glows in the dark. And also just that sort of blind optimism.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's very true. I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that. Blind optimism, which we are suffering from at the moment because we've had, a lot of blind optimism and now we're come crashing back down to earth.
It wouldn't be a Scotland World Cup campaign without blind optimism now, would it?
No, definitely not.
And then the final one then is the Sean Connery Award. Who wins the Big Tease for you?
Obviously, it's Craig Ferguson.
Yeah.
I mean, I did give a shout out to Larry Miller as Dunstan Cactus, but yeah, I think it's Craig Ferguson's film. His name's above it. He's co-written it. He's on the poster. He's in pretty much every scene. Yeah, I have to give it to Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that is the Big Tease. It is available on YouTube if you'd like to watch it. I think the last couple of minutes is cut out. It's just like what they were up to, but it is available alternatively on there as well. Yeah. You can find that scene. So, but yeah, the Big Tease available on YouTube. It's only an hour and a half long, and yeah, we enjoyed it. I'd recommend you watch it and see what you think. But that was my choice. So, Greg, why don't you tell us what you have picked for us to discuss on the next episode of the Culture Swally?
So, now you and I were talking before we recorded, and we never tell each other what the other one's picked. Well, very rarely. If we've got stuff going on in our lives and we need to get in front of it a bit, we might do, but we don't. We haven't this time. So I've gone for something a little, it's not unusual, but maybe not that well travelled. It's a made-for-television film that was on Channel 4 in 2007. It was written by Dean Kavanagh and Irvin Welsh, and it stars Michelle Gomez, Shirley Henderson, Shauna MacDonald, making his Swally debut Michael Fassbender, Brendan Coyle, and Daniel Healy, and it is Wedding Bells.
Oh, I have not seen this, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it either.
I remember having this bookmarked because I think it would have been Irvin Welsh's involvement. Is probably why. Okay, wow. I will look forward to seeing that. It's not what I was going to pick because you had said
TV film,
something random. I didn't know it was a TV film. I didn't hear you say that. I've just picked a film for my next one.
Okay,
but oh wow. Okay, so Wedding Bells, and where's that available?
It's available on YouTube. I will send you the link after we finish recording. And
fantastic. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. I think I've seen bits of it, maybe, but I cannot think. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Wonderful. I will look forward to that. Wedding Bells on the next episode, and it's spelled. Is it Bells?
It is indeed, yes.
Yeah, like Bell of the Ball. Okay, wonderful. Wedding Bells on the next episode of the Culture Swally. Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show and you enjoyed the Big Tease. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can. You can email us, cultureswally@gmail.com, with anything you've seen in the news you'd like us to cover, any recommendations, or if you just want to say hello. And give us a little rating, review, subscription, whatever you do, wherever you get your podcasts. It really does help to grow. And we've got a wonderful website as well, don't we, Greg?
Yep, you can find us at cultureswally.com. There's links to all our episodes and some features on Scottish television and film.
Wonderful. Right, well, I guess we're both about to cool down, although it's a bit later for you, 8:10 in the evening. You off to have a nice quiet Friday evening and then head to bed?
Yes, I usually run every 2 days. And because I wasn't feeling great last night, I still went out and played tennis last night, which in reflection was a mistake due to events that occurred when I returned from playing tennis before I went in the shower. So normally this morning would have been a running morning, but I decided to get a bit more sleep. So I'm going to go for a run tomorrow morning, and then I promised my daughter that we'd go and see an early showing of Supergirl, because she thoroughly enjoyed the Superman movie that came out last year. I think it was last year it came out. I enjoyed it as well. It's a good film. So we're both quite invested in Supergirl. So we're going to go and see that tomorrow morning, and then I've got someone's birthday to attend, and it's a brunch. And I would rather shoot myself in the head than go. But the person whose birthday it is, his wife, has paid already, and it's non-refundable. Oh. So I'm told. So it's a coup de grace. I've got between a rock and a hard place. But the good thing is it starts at 3 and ends at 7. So I should be in my comfies in front of the telly with a mug of hibiscus tea by 8:30, which is fine.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Well, good luck with that. Yeah. And all the best, and I'm sure it'll be all fine. Wonderful, buddy. Right, well, I'm going to go and enjoy the last bit of the sunshine. So, until next time.
Oh, I'm so happy, Eamon. I am so happy. I'm happy to know that had I actually been shot to death, I would not have died in vain, because your business affairs would have been kept in order.
I'm just happy you're all right, bro.
I am not your brother.
Crawford!
What?
Where the hell have you been? Didn't you get my messages?
Sorry, I was being raped in prison.
Well, you shouldn't be out enjoying yourself when you've got work to do.
I don't care.
I got you a job.